Hello, Kim Wilson here with our second card of the March card class, and this is our technique card. I did forget to mention in the previous video that when you're saving your little scraps here, any of these cards from this collection, these ones that are perfect for just putting on the inside. Oh, and I actually did it on this card. Put the scraps on the inside. So save those little bits that are left over when you cut your card fronts, because those are perfect just to add a little accent to the inside of the card. So I'll put that aside and get started on this. This is called, let me see, I always forget the name of it. It is called the Fault Line Technique, and it's real popular right now. Real popular technique. And it's not that difficult either. So what you're doing is a regular hot dog style card front, and then you cut off the bottom piece because you're making a gap, so you don't need that full piece there. And let me stick the measurements up there real quick so if you wanted to see them. And then you just need a piece for the inside layer because you're kind of layering there, and then a piece of designer series paper. Now what I did a little different than anybody else is I'm using a 2-inch strip here, because if you remember our last card here, we used a whole big piece of this plaid paper, and it's only 6 by 6 paper, so there's usually going to be a piece left over when you cut that's going to be about this size. So that's what I used, and I turned it at the diagonal to fit in that little gap. So if you're not quite sure you're going to be able to fit that in right, just get a bigger piece. I was just trying to save paper here, but most people that do this do a bigger piece, and then they just do it 4 1/4 by like 3 or 4 inches here, so it covers on the back of the whole thing. I'm just saving you paper here to try it this way. And so, well, let's get started with the tearing. So after the card is cut, and there's no like magic measurements for how much you cut off, so I did it this way. I think it was 9 inches. Yeah, 9 inches for the entire card, and then you score up 5 1/2 as usual, and that leaves you that little gap there. And you're going to line up that piece kind of right in the center there, and then rip it. And you can rip it straight across if you want your diagonal straight across. You can also do the card horizontally and do your ripping that way. But I'm going to kind of start at the top. I don't want to start at the very corner. I want to leave a little bit there so I have enough to tuck under there. And then we'll just, it's kind of hard because our cardstock is a little bit stiff, but just keep going there and tear that right straight across. And if it's getting crooked, just straighten it out. It'll be fine. It'll be fine, they say. All right, here we go. We're almost to the bottom end, and then I'm going to end it. And again, leave a little gap there so that you have enough of this is Calypso Coral, so I have enough of that cardstock. And then you want to keep your pieces together because you're going to want to line them up. So this piece is going to go under here like that, and you can see that it follows the exact line because you tore it together. So isn't that genius? Some really bright person figured that out. And I'm going to put this here, but the glue I'm not going to put way to the edge because of course I want my edge to peek out. So, and you can decide how much of the edge you want to stick out. And this should line up perfectly on the sides because it was the same size paper. So that looks good for that one. And then you still have your bottom piece hanging out here. So we'll flip that around to the back and do the same thing on this one. We'll add some glue here, just not getting too close to the edge there. And then put that together like that. So really easy, not too bad. Okay, and if you wanted to at this point, you could take your bone folder and kind of rough it up a little bit if you want it a little more distressed. So however you feel like that. Okay, here's the tricky part because we're going to meld these two pieces together by using this strip. And this is where you might want to use a bigger piece of designer series paper. But I'm using the 6" by 2" because that's a leftover piece. And I love my paper and I don't want to waste any. Okay, so first I'm just going to lay it out here and just make sure it's actually going to fit. Yeah, it looks like I can get away with it. So I want enough on both sides that I can actually put some adhesive down there. So that's the tricky part. So how am I going to do that? I am going to probably just flip this up and put a little tiny adhesive right. Let me check and see if you can see what I'm doing. Right at the top there. And then plop that down there. And hopefully it will not. Oh, you know what I probably should have done is put something underneath here, like a piece of scrap paper or something. And I grab a piece of scrap paper under there, just in case your glue oozes out when you're doing that. And that way it will protect the inside of your card. Or you can always just, of course, add another piece of cardstock. But we're trying to save paper here. So, all right. I'm going to put that scrap there. I want to be able to see my edge here and line it up exactly at the bottom so everything is square. Okay, that's going to go under there. Okay, looks like I have enough space there. So again, I'm going to put a tiny little bit of glue just on the edge. Leave my scrap paper there. Lined up. Okay, that looks good. I think I managed to get it down there without any glue oozing out. And if you wanted to, it looks like there might be a tiny bit there. I could let that dry and then use my adhesive remover to get off that extra bit of glue. So you can see that's a little trickier doing it this way. The paper saving way is a little trickier. It's easier just to do a larger piece of the designer series paper and not have to bother with those little intricate details. And then you have, because it's a 6" strip, you're going to have a little piece hanging off there. So let's see what's the best way to cut this, from this side or from this side. I think from this side. And then you can just trim that right off. And now a lot of people, when they're doing these fault line cards, they'll take a panel of the basic beige and just put a panel over that. But I think it looks kind of cool having that little diagonal stripe in the middle there. So I'm just going to leave that as is. And I probably should have done my stamping before I put all this together, which is what I usually do, but I was so involved in doing my tearing that I forgot to do that. So we will do it next. Okay, there's my finished card. So on this one I used that really pretty thank you. It's got a really pretty font to it from that Storybook Friends. And this time I'm going to try a little something different. Because we have a diagonal line here, it's sometimes kind of nice to follow the line with your sentiment. So if you have a longer sentiment, follow the line. Like I could do the hello friend down here and do the gems, or maybe I'll be different and do hello friend up here. And I'm going to press down really straight because I noticed I got a little black bit there, which happens sometimes when you have a small stamp on a larger block. So that's one reason why it's important not to rock when you're stamping. All right, so my pearls. Let's find my pearls here and we'll stick some. I used the larger ones here, so we'll be different again and use the smaller ones on, well, actually, these are the medium-sized ones. The medium-sized ones down here. So a really simple card. So not much to this one because my sentiment was really small. So maybe if I had another sentiment, I could put it across there. There's a whole bunch in this stamp set. So we've got We could do Somebody Loves You. That would be cute right there. Somebody Loves You, or Happy Spring. So really fun technique though. So try this fault line technique and see how you do. Try the different variations on it. This one is I mean, everyone's going to turn out a little bit differently depending on how you do it. So even if you did it straight across or horizontally this way with a different size card. So lots of fun ways to try that new technique that's really popular right now. Okay, be back in just a minute with our fun fold card.